Okay, so you're gonna start with 2 pinch pots and you want them to be about the same size. So the way that you can do that is make sure that the clay that you get from the box is like the chunk, each chunk is about the same size. And then make a basic pinch pot like this, and don't worry about getting it perfect because that comes later. So it's gonna look rough. If it has, the cracks and stuff in it, you can just bring those together. Don't add too much water. And then once they're ready, you're gonna get some newspaper and you're gonna spritz it. The newspaper doesn't need to be soaking wet. It just needs to be softened by the water. So it's like a misting. And then you want to feel like that's soft. What this does is it acts as an internal support as you create the form that you need for your lidded pinch pot. You're going to put the newspaper in both of the pinch pots that you made. So don't spend, like I said, a bunch of time trying to get the inside real perfect, because the newspaper will go in there and mess everything up. Okay, now that's our support. I think that's going to be good enough. What you want to do is make sure that you're not filling the newspaper all the way to the top of the work, and also make sure that your newspaper has kind of a soft and puffy feel as opposed to like a dense quality, because if it's really dense, as the project dries, it might crack. But you'll be able to take the newspaper out usually before that ever happens. But just make sure it's kind of puffy, but enough to hold the shape that you want to, or the form that you want to achieve. And then you're going to look at both of your pinch pots, and in most cases, they're going to look about the same, but choose the one that looks a little bit bigger, and you're going to flare the edges out just a little at first. So you flare the edges by putting a little bit of pressure. It looks like I'm pinching, turning. I'm not pinching, turning. I'm just pushing the edge out and turning so that the edge is flared. And we can see it's pretty considerably bigger than that one. You can also do this to the smaller one, just sort of push it in a little so it gets a little bit smaller. Then you're going to take the big one and you're going to put it on top of the little one. And you want it to overlap a little. So now I'm going to merge both of these together. So I'm just going to go like this. And you're pulling the clay from that top pinch pot down onto the clay of the bottom pinch pot. And this doesn't look perfect. You want to make a nice merge, secure and merged. I'm going to show you another tool that you can use when you're doing this. There's this rib tool, and it has like little teeth on it. And you can use that to marry the clay up really well. And it does scratch the surface up, but that's okay because you can go back in, smooth that up later. This just makes sure that those clay bodies are really combining. You don't have to score and slip these together because the clay is really plastic at this stage. So this merging will be good. And then we're going to be opening this up soon, so we'll be able to merge the inside of it. At this point, you have what looks like a potato or an egg or something like that. And this is where your visual reference is going to come into play. So there is an assignment on Schoology. It's called Lidded Pinch Pot Visual Reference. 2 of you guys have completed that, so make sure that you guys complete that, because it's going to
affects your grade.
Well, I mean, ultimately it affects the quality of your work. So you want to make sure that you have that visual reference so that you can look at it, and then you can achieve the details in the form of whatever it is you're trying to do. So I'm going to do my cat, Mr. Tibbs, and I'm just going to show you my visual references. This is going to be a project that's going to take me, you know, a little bit of time, like several hours to get the form right, and then before I can cut it open and stuff. So my visual references are here. So here's Mr. Tibbs, Chibi. He is also known as Chibi. He's a very perfect cat, okay, as everybody can see. He is like the ideal cat. And
You may not like it, but that's what peak physical performance looks like.
and then here's a side view, right? Because this is a good frontal view of Chibi, but I need to know what's happening when he's at the side, because I'm making a sculpture. The sculpture is a three-dimensional object. It exists in the round, so you want to also think about those areas. So this is what the side of him looks like when he's in a seated position. And this is just another one with his head forward facing, because right now I'm not sure if I'm going to do, like, is he looking sideways or is he looking straight ahead? I don't know yet. But I have...
The cat will freak out when he finds, when
Bless
he
you.
sees that for the first time. He'll be like,
Yeah.
you made a clone of me?
Yeah. I think I might also, like, as I'm working on this, I might find that I want to add another small pinch pot to the top and merge it in place, just to give this form a little bit more height so that I can begin to make the chibi kind of form. But I do want to take this and do a demonstration on how to alter form a little bit. So I'm going to grab a wedging board. And one of the things that confuses people when they start this project is that they, if they want to form like a cube, they don't understand how you're going to take an egg and make a cube. And what you'll do is you'll just begin, you're just going to begin putting some pressure on it. Make sure you're working on the board because you don't want it to stick to the table. And then I can see that side is getting flattened. So I'm going to go to the next, and I need to create 6 sides if I'm going to do a cube. Of course, this has nothing to do with Chibi, but this is just if you want to create a form that is like this instead. Also, as I'm doing this, you can see that it's getting a little longer and thinner. And then I'm going to do the top and the bottom, so those are both flat. And then I've got a good start on this cube. I can also take the metal rib tool and I can draw it up the side, and it can help me smooth out the sides and create some sharp corners. So you just want to make sure that you're not putting too much pressure on, because you don't want it to split, but you also want to make sure that you're putting enough pressure on. So it's a delicate balancing act sometimes. This compresses the clay, and so if you had any cracks, then this rib tool helps to get those cracks back together and make your clay body a little bit stronger as you work. And then I can do the same on top and bottom, and you can see how crisp those corners are getting now. Okay, that's how you would make a cube. Now everybody has to incorporate texture into their project, and so the way that you do that is up to you. You can use a texture, like if you're going to do an animal, you can use an expected texture like fur, or you can do an unexpected texture on something.
Like scales or something?
Yeah. But you want to think creatively about that. And also you want to have visual references for your texture so that you can see, like, what's this look like? What could this look like? And then
Nicole Adam.
what you're gonna do, you know, you carve your form in, I mean, you carve your texture in the leather hard stage. So what you wanna do is, while we're kind of waiting for it to get to that stage, you can think about your separation point, because this is a good time to create that separation. And what you're gonna do is decide where you want a lid, and this is just totally hypothetical because it's my example. I think I'll do a lid kind of up at the top so that I have like a container that can hold some stuff. If I make a lid right like in the middle, then I can't really hold a lot of stuff, and I have like a really tall lid. And but if you're doing that for sculptural purposes, that's okay too. Just think about that. Like, is it gonna be functional? Is it going to be more aesthetic? I'm going to use the straight edge of this to get my first kind of line there. I'm not cutting through it or anything. I want like a nice straight line, and then I want to turn it, and I want to see where that line left off. And then I'm going to make another one. And then I'm going to turn it, see where that line left off, make another one. And this is just my, like my sketch of where I want this to end up being. And so before I cut through, I can look at it and think, is this good? Is this where it needs to be? If not, I can simply just go like this and do this line somewhere else. But I think it's fine for the demonstration. What you want to also have on this is a key so that it fits back together nicely. You can have a key on your work, or you can have, if you don't have a key, you're going to need to create a lip on the inside of the work, which is a little more involved and takes a little bit more skill.
Isn't that what I'm going to have to do since I'm doing my lid on the bottom?
Yeah. So I'm going to take, I'm just going to do the key example today because it's the simple one. And I'm just going to make like a sort of round.
I thought it kind of looked like a tooth there for a second.
It's like a semicircle. Then I don't need this line in the middle because I'm not going to cut that. Okay, now I'm going to go through and begin with my pin tool, going around, and now I'm really cutting through here, okay? So,
This is your cat, right?
yeah, that's Chibi.
It's Mr. Chips.
Yeah, Mr. Chibs.
Wait, so you're making animals?
Well,
Well, we
I'm,
can make it whatever we want. I'm planning to make mine look like the Olive Fork from 2007's Transformers.
So y'all moved on from the cups.
yeah, we're done with the Japanese tea bowls, and now we're doing lidded pinch pots. And they can make any shape they want, any form they want.
Right.
Also a bird, a bionicle.
But I decided to make mine to be Mr. Chibs. Although, for my example, I'm not making Mr. Chibs. I'm making this cube. Okay. We can see it looks like I've cut all the way through, right? Now I'm going to take the lid off. Come on, guys. This is exciting. Okay, it won't come off, so I'm not going to force it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go back around and make sure that I've gone all the way through. Because sometimes when you're changing the form, like I did when I was kind of pressing it against the board, it can cause the clay to be redistributed and get thicker in some places, and that's
And also
what...
get rounder in some areas.
Yeah. So now let's see. Okay, now it's gonna come off. So I'm gonna take the lid off, and it's like carving a pumpkin type of thing. So you are at the point now where you can take the newspaper out, and at this stage you're gonna want to make any connections with clay that you need to. Like if you want to join stuff to the surface, this is a good time to do that. But ideally what you want to do here is wait until this is in the leather hard stage so that you can go in and really clean it up without altering the form. It's so plastic now that if I go in here and try to clean it up, I'll definitely mess up my form. But one thing I do want to do before it gets into that leather hard stage is I want to look at the inside, and I can see the ridge from where I joined those two pinch pots. So I want to definitely go in there and merge that seam line so that those two are really connected. And I don't have like this bulky ridge of clay that's on the inside of there. And you don't want to just simply remove it.
Keon Lawrence Smith to the front office, please. Keon Lawrence to the front office. Thank you.
You don't want to simply just remove it, because this is an opportunity to reinforce the inside of the work. And so you want to take that opportunity. Also just being careful that you're supporting it on the outside with your opposite hand so that you're trying to maintain the form as much as possible. And I think that's looking pretty good for a start. And then you can kind of clean up this edge. And when you're cleaning up this edge, what's going to happen is sometimes the lid won't fit back on perfectly. So you have to keep on, take it off and make it fit, put it back on and stuff. If your lid is like really out of shape and not fitting at all, then what you can do is you can go to a section, like you can see a little bit of an overhang here. And if I merge just a little bit, it's kind of a superficial merge here, then I can pull this off, and that's how you create a really nicely fitted lid, is to look for those places that don't quite match up, give it a little superficial merging, and then take it off. And then wait till this is in the leather hard stage to continue your work. Okay, does this make sense to people?
Yes.
Okay. All right, I release you from my demonstration torture, Maya.
It's really